From the non-existent sanctuary, it's the IGN Digigods. Please welcome two men still waiting for their life clocks to change to red, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
You got any more of that ice cream for me? No, I didn't make any more this week.
That was a week ago.
I know. You're supposed you got a whole week to make more ice cream for me. You didn't make any cinnamon ice cream because I have a day job.
Yes, my job is not making you food.
Well, it should be. Maybe you should reconsider that.
How well does that job pay? Exactly.
I'll pay you. I'll pay you to stay home.
Really?
I'll pay you to stay. What do they pay you? What do they pay you over there?
More than you can possibly afford.
$5-6 an hour?
Oh, yeah.
I will buy 3 hours of your time to make me ice cream.
Really?
Yeah. I will $18. I will pay you $18 to make me a pint of ice cream. Come on, it's a good deal, dude. Because like Haagen-Dazs charges like $4.50.
Now hang on. Now you're saying something.
I'm going to give you $18 to make me a pint of ice cream that I would only pay Haagen-Dazs $4.50 for. That's a good deal.
Now wait. Now will you pay me that? Is that irrespective of whether I'm working or not, or is it just I'll give you $18 maybe some ice cream?
No, you stay home from work and I'll pay you $18.
Stay home from work.
Yeah.
So if
I'm generous. I'm generous that way.
So let's say that I worked a half day.
Yes.
Right. So
well, that's got to be worth. I'm $25. So make me 2 pints.
So if I worked, literally, if I worked a half day,
I'll throw you some dead presidents.
Really?
Damn right. Yeah. I'll throw you $25.
See, full disclosure.
A little Jackson and Lincoln action, right?
Right? Full disclosure.
Andrew and Abe. I'll give you an Andrew and an Abe, babe.
I would have to admit.
That's what I'll give you.
Here's what I have to admit.
Yeah.
That I could leave at noon, my job at noon.
Mm-hmm.
Come home, make some ice cream for you.
Yeah.
And take your $25.
Sure.
However, full disclosure compels me to admit that the moment I walk into my office for 1 minute, I'm already paid for the day. So if I left at noon, I would still be paid for the entire day. Plus, I'd be getting your $25.
So why don't you just go to work for 5 minutes every day?
Oh God, that'd be sweet. Oh my God. It's like after a while, you're like, you know what? You know what they say? No one ever went to their grave wishing they'd worked more.
True.
And I think that's true.
Yeah.
All right, wait. So here's what we got.
Yeah.
We got some classic. We got a classic romantic comedy.
We got a lot of stuff we didn't get to last week, including some television and foreign stuff. So we're gonna pick it up with some of that. But yes, some new movie stuff. I want to talk just for a quick second about these two movies, which I think have. We always talk about marketing schemes, and here you have exactly on Exploding Sun and The Colony, almost exactly the same marketing scheme, which is 3 heads, right? 3 of the actors. You put 3 heads at the top of the image, and then you put the title of the movie, and then you have some apocalyptic landscape at the bottom. And in Exploding Sun, it's all just fire and the end of the world, and apocalyptic looking. And of course, in The Colony, it's all ice agey. Everything's frozen over. Of the two of these films, I gotta tell you, Exploding Sun, it's a low budget apocalyptic thriller that you can see the seams, you can see where they cut the corners. It's acceptable if you're kind of a crazy genre fan, but Michael Robinson, who directed it, not like he's not going to be any kind of a gigantic, huge success. Both of these films, by the way, essentially Canadian productions. So both of these films shot in and primarily with Canadian talent, which is interesting because it's suggesting that there's like some crazy kind of now genre uptick in Canadian cinema, which is interesting. I don't know really what to think about that. The only, Julia Ormond is in this, and she's kind of the only significant name that really kind of holds it as something other than just a total throwaway. But there's so many of these apocalyptic end-of-the-world movies lately. Last week we talked about This Is the End, which kind of, does it comedy style. That you can't really look at this and just go, oh, wow, that's a new twist on it. So, Mimi Leader needs to do another one of these. She's long overdue for a comeback, don't you think?
Well, she does like TV, right?
Yeah, but she should be doing big features.
No, I agree. She did a couple, and I don't know why it didn't take off.
Now, The Colony, I was shocked, is so much better than I ever expected. It's still not brilliant. I mean, it basically, here's the thing. The Colony is almost like it takes 28 days later or 28 weeks later, take your pick, 28 days later, basically. It's like 28 days later meets The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, meets Alien. That's what it is. It's those three movies all kind of spliced together. The premise, and it's got Bill Paxton, Lawrence Fishburne in it, and everybody else is Canadian. It's a bunch of Canadian actors, and then you get a couple of American names, and then you know that brings the money, and there you go. You got your little genre film. The idea is that it's in the future. We tried to combat global warming by building these giant weather machines. And, of course, these giant weather machines wound up being like out-of-control giant air conditioners, and they froze the planet.
That's ridiculous.
I know, it's utterly stupid.
And by the way, why would they make a global warming movie when they know that like half of America thinks that's like all phony junk science? And
yeah,
like,
but those people aren't going to go see this movie.
Well, they would if it wasn't global warming. It would be if it was something.
Well, it's irrelevant. It doesn't make any sense. As it starts, the Earth is it's all frozen over, and society's falling apart. It's all post-apocalyptic, and you have these little colonies, right? Nothing will grow, so there's little colonies where they're trying to grow seeds again, trying to hopefully till the day when the ice melts and we can grow plants and we can have a civilization again. So everybody's clammed up in these little weird, like insular colonies, and if you get sick, this is the deal, right? If you get sick, you infect everyone else in the colony, and that's why as soon as someone gets sick, they're thrown out like an Eskimo on an ice floe. It's like, okay, dude, you're coughing, you're done. And Bill Paxton starts actually shooting people because he's just sick of it. He doesn't want people, you got the flu, I'm going to blow you away, bam. And Lawrence Fishburne runs the colony, the whole thing. Anyway, Mayday call comes in from another colony. They go out to check it out, and of course, you know what they run into. And I'm not giving anything away here. It's like scary crap. It's a bunch of crazy cannibalistic loon balls who start chasing them back, and
I'm going to guess what the last shot of this film is.
What's the last shot?
I have not seen the film.
Yeah.
Last shot of the film.
You're absolutely right. It's the Backstreet Boys singing in heaven.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How'd you know I was going to say that?
I know.
The last shot of the film.
Yeah.
And you could just either shake your head or nod your head if I'm right or wrong. Last shot of the film is one single flower popped up from the snow to show that the world's going to be okay. Am I right or wrong? Either shake your head or nod your head. Oh, damn. Oh, really? I was kind of close, right?
You're sort of in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
Anyway, no, I was surprised. This was a much better film than I expected it to be. Not that it's original; it's just very, very well done. Jeff Renfro, who directed it, very capable. It's better than it has any business to be. It really is. But I have to say this: why is it that in movies, when someone becomes a cannibal, they also lose their ability to actually speak? Have you ever noticed that?
Or like zombies. All zombies do is go boo.
Yeah, but zombies, there's a whole culture to zombies. That's the sound zombies make. But why, if suddenly there's nothing around to eat and you decide to eat people, why suddenly is the only sound you're capable of uttering? Because why do you sound like a grizzly bear all of a sudden?
Because if you're a cannibal, presumably you're pretty stupid. Because if you can eat people, you're pretty stupid.
After Silence of the Lambs, after Silence of the Lambs, I think we are pretty well over that.
But we have zombies.
I do. I think we're done with that.
Zombies are awesome.
Yeah, whatever.
I love zombies.
And then, real quickly, speaking of genre films, there's an old Alyssa Milano movie called Embrace of the Vampire, which I don't know anybody who is really nostalgic for this movie who said, oh man, I wish they'd remake that. But apparently it has something of a following. And they have remade it. And now the Blu-ray, the unrated Blu-ray of the original Alyssa Milano film Embrace of the Vampire is being released the exact same week as the Blu-ray DVD combo pack of the new unrated Embrace of the Vampire, which is a lot more CW. It certainly, you can tell it's like, wow, that's got a real, CW vibe to it. And incidentally, also a Canadian production. All this stuff's coming out of Canada. And it's an erotic vampire movie, but the new one, I don't know why this had to be remade. They're both kind of the same movie, and yeah, one of them is a little splashier and more contemporary, but I don't know, really? Is that important? Anyway, and isn't the vampire thing hasn't it almost run its course? Anyway,
I sincerely hope so. Zombies rule. Vampires, forget it.
Yeah, I'm over them all. So anyway, but just by way of pointing out, both very capable Blu-rays. Audio, image is perfectly fine. Not going to blow your socks off. But I just don't know that anyone loves the original that much or was clamoring for it to be remade. But there they go. Embrace of the Vampire. 2 versions out the same week.
Wade, here's a pretty bad film. This is a film from the director of Twilight, the first Twilight that was so bad that somehow wound up being made into a sequel after a sequel after a sequel, at which point it became a phenomenon. But if it wasn't, if Catherine Hardwicke's film was any worse, You never know. All I can say is she has not really improved much since Twilight. This is a film called Plush. It's with Emily Browning, Xavier Samuel, and Cam Giganday, whatever his name is.
I don't
know. Cam Giganday. All the girls love Cam Giganday. Anyway, and Cam Night and Day. Anyway, this is a completely inauthentic, posy kind of rock characters piece, I guess. I'm overpraising it by even calling it a character piece. It's about this young girl. She's like a rock star. She's on the rise. Yeah. And her brother dies of a drug overdose, and she falls into a spiral, and she winds up falling in love with this new guitarist for the band, who is very inspirational to her, and blah, 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 blah. Very cliched, not very good music. Everybody's just staring at their eyeliner and posing with their sunglasses, and I just think this thing is inauthentic at every turn. And I was not really into Plush. Quite bad, actually. So there you go. There's that. Now, Wade, we have a stand-up film. We don't see a lot of stand-up comedy films much anymore.
Concert films, the stand-up concert films.
Yeah, sometimes you see them. Actually, it's funny that
Martin Lawrence was like the last one.
Yeah, but it's funny. Yeah, it's funny that Kevin Hart's Let Me Explain would be out because I just watched on Netflix 2 nights ago.
He's becoming a real big deal, man.
Yeah, I'm not sure I bought it yet. I just watched Eddie Murphy's Raw.
Yeah.
On Netflix. Yep. That was funny, man.
That was really funny.
Anyway, so Kevin Hart's Let Me Explain, Witness the Rise of a Legend. Okay, Rise of a Legend. I think that might be overstating it. But there's some funny stuff in here, I guess. Here's the thing. I just want to know whether, is he a good storyteller? Is he falling back on swear words because he has nothing actually to say?
Kevin Hart is a good storyteller. He is a funny man.
He is a pretty good storyteller, and his stories do take these weird detours that can be pretty kind of funny, but he folds it back to the original story, so he definitely has his act down.
Well, you know what? Kevin Hart is very much in the trajectory that was, there's a certain trajectory of stand-up comedy, particularly among black comics, that really began with Richard Pryor. And black comics pre-Richard Pryor were of a different breed. You had kind of on the more commercial end Godfrey Cambridge, and then on the much rawer end Rudy Ray Moore, and then much more crossover entertaining Bill Cosby. Richard Pryor changed that. He was both. He was all of that, but he was commercial and raw at the same time. He kind of fed into Eddie Murphy, who fed into Martin Lawrence, and all of that I think really feeds into Kevin Hart. I think he's very much a historian of the comics who came before him, what they did that worked. And he comes from a very similar background, and he uses all of their tools. He's kind of been handed this amazing tool set, and I think he uses it very effectively. That being said, you've seen the trailer for the new Robert De Niro Stallone boxing comedy thing?
Yes, it looks terrible.
It looks terrible. However, you've got to admit, you watch that trailer and you go, I am not the least bit interested in Stallone or in De Niro. I don't care about either of them. But those supporting actors, the two supporting performances by Alan Arkin and Kevin Hart, look hilarious.
Yes.
Don't both of them look amazing in that?
They do.
There's that one conversation in the trailer where Alan Arkin calls him Webster. That is outrageously funny. That's funny.
That was funny.
Where he says, "Are you calling me Webster because you like my vocabulary? You're referencing the dictionary, or is it because it's because you're black? That's and you're small. You're black and you're short. That's what it was. It's so funny.
I just want to know that eventually Kevin Hart will evolve into somebody who is either political or social or has something to say about his environment or his upbringing. Is not just like a random joke teller.
He's short. He's short, and he has fun being short. I think it's great.
But he's funny. He's funny.
There's a little movie called Anything Is Possible with the tagline, "Music Can Heal a Broken Heart," which I think is interesting because just recently at Toronto, the Weinsteins just paid a bundle in a bidding war for the movie. Can a song heal a broken heart? You followed that, right?
Yes.
And that is the first time. I mean, that's got to be the first time in at least 16, 17 years that an independent film has yielded a bidding war of that nature. It has been a long time. You got to go back to like Spitfire Grill to find a festival film, an independent festival film, where there was suddenly this crazy bidding war, and people actually had money to bid it up.
Right.
I mean, it's been a long time, so that bodes well. So I found that to be interesting that their tagline is reminiscent of that movie. That being said, it's not a great film, but it's an interesting film because it features this kid Ethan Bortnick, who is like this piano prodigy. And, he just writes songs and performs them, and, very, very impressive. I don't know if it's enough to sustain the movie, this 10-year-old kid, but it's a little bit maudlin, the whole kind of family drama here. His mom goes missing because she's in the military and she's overseas, and there's a whole thing that goes on. So it's a little bit maudlin, and when there's a whole orphanage deal, you kind of feel like they're pulling your heartstrings just a little, like they're attaching them to a tow hitch and then driving them down the interstate. At a certain point, so you resist that. That being said, the kid's good. He's really good. So, if nobody worth watching in this of any note, Lacey Chabert is the only other person, and she's on the cover of, what is it, Maxim or something this month, trying to resurrect her dying career?
Yes, after leaving The Family Guy after one season.
What's wrong with her?
You know that, right?
I know.
She was
crazy.
the voice of Meg in season 1 and left.
It's nuts. Anyway, so apart from Lacey Chabert and the kid, nobody of note in this thing, but... if that even counts. Anyway, it's all right. The kid's worth watching.
Yes, Wade.
Let's see. Here, I'll talk about these two. You know what? Let me blow through these three, and then you can finish off with those. Gimme the Loot is.
It sounds so laddish.
I didn't really care for this at all. I was supposed to talk about this on NPR a few weeks ago, and it didn't make the cut that week. So I'll talk about it now. This is an MPI release, part of the Sundance Selects contract, and it's one of those low-budget New York grungy things. It's supposed to feel all kind of hip and improvised, whatnot, and the whole thing centers around this goal of these kids who are graffiti taggers, that they want to tag the home run apple of the Mets.
Yay! They better fail in that attempt.
Well, the thing is, it really isn't that interesting of a film. That's not enough to sort of sustain it, and all of the other
what a stupid thing to want to bomb.
All the things that they kind of throw into that, it doesn't really make it interesting. It's not an interesting character trajectory. And the only reason this got released was because Jonathan Demme, for some reason, seems to have a connection through it and threw a presentation credit on it. So, not that interesting. Another movie that really has no business existing is He's Way More Famous Than You. There were several points in this movie where I felt a very, very strong urge to take a hammer and bash my own skull in, just to spare myself the
to end the torture,
to end the torment. Here's what this movie's about. Hallie Pfeiffer. Do you know who Hallie Pfeiffer is?
That's Mr. and Mrs. Pfeiffer's kid.
You're right. She's Jules Pfeiffer's daughter.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Jules Pfeiffer, of course, who is a legendary, a legendary pop culture fixture, comic guy, comic historian, cartoonist, and all that stuff. Anyway, his daughter, Hallie Pfeiffer, has been in a few movies, and she seems to think, like one of them is The Squid and the Whale, she seems to think that she's on the verge of fame. So she's made a movie that she wrote, or co-wrote, in which it's all about her. She plays herself and her quest for fame, and it's like supposed to be kind of very self-deprecating, how she now, all these years after Squid and the Whale, Jesse Eisenberg is famous and she's not, and she's trying to resurrect her career and trying to make a movie in which and Ben Stiller has a cameo in it, and there's all these people kind of like threw her a bone and do a cameo. Natasha Lyonne has a cameo, but I gotta tell you, it still stinks. It's just not funny because she's so over the top. She's not funny, man. She's just not funny. And you start to feel terribly sorry for her, and then you want to kill her. And this is a big deal this week. Notting Hill, a movie which has sort of not maintained its reputation all that well, but I still think this is a fantastic movie. Roger Michell directed this. I think it's one of the great romantic comedies of the 90s.
Oh, I love this film. I remember...
Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant. Fantastic movie. I love this movie. I love this movie. I love this movie.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
And you know what? I remember when this movie was over, I think you called me or something happened when you said that there was one line in this film, which I know you're going to remember. There was one line in the film that just the way Julia Roberts delivered it was to you like perfect rom-com acting. It's when she's standing in the bookstore looking at Hugh Grant and says something like, "I'm just a girl looking for a
oh my gosh,
a guy
that line,
to love him," or something.
Oh gosh, it's like you had me at hello. You know, it's one of those, and you just go, Richard Curtis. I hate you. You're so good. You're so talented. You just come up with these gems, and they drip from the lips of movie stars like manna from heaven. It's unbelievable.
Yep, Notting Hill's great.
So yeah, Roger Michell, great director, and then of course Richard Curtis wrote this. It's in the same vein with Love Actually, which by the way just came out in a brand new spanking anniversary edition that we'll be talking about on the holiday show.
What?
Because it's a Christmas movie basically. And, Richard, of course, before Weddings, The Funeral, Richard Curtis, just an amazing screenwriter. And when you put him together with Hugh Grant and a director like Roger Michell and, of course, Julia Roberts in her prime, it just doesn't get any better. And Mischa Barton, by the way, made her film debut in this movie.
She must have played somebody's daughter.
You remember the press junket, which Hugh Grant, he crashes a press junket, pretends to be an interviewer, right, a journalist, just to kind of get back into Julia Roberts' orbit. And they move him into one of these press rooms, like, oh, yes, we'll go over here. And he winds up interviewing, the young girl from the movie that Julia Roberts is in, which is Mischa Barton, when she was like, 12 or something.
I did not know that.
Yep. Sure enough.
What happened to Mischa Barton?
She just got a DUI or something not too long ago.
Oh, it's not happening.
Yep, there you go.
All right, Wade, interesting film that I will recommend that I bet you never heard of. It's a pretty good thriller, runs out of steam at the end, but I still liked it a lot, called The East. And The East was co-written by Britt Marling. Now, Britt Marling is I
just don't get why she's a big deal, but...
Well, you know what? She's not a big deal yet. The thing is that she's still waiting to star in, like Godzilla 6 or something, and then...
She's like a big indie deal. Out. She's a big indie deal.
Well, she starred in Another Earth.
Which I think is so fabulously overrated.
Which I did
Ray
like.
Came out of Sundance. He was like, oh my gosh, After Earth is amazing. It's fantastic. And then I saw it, and I'm like, you know what? This movie about the person who ingratiates themselves anonymously into the life of the person that they feel responsible for ruining their life, and then I'm waiting for the third act turning point when you have the Tootsie reveal. It's like, you're the person who ruined my life, and you got this close to me. Screw you. Well, I've seen that. It's like I just saw it on an episode of Law and Order. That's been done 1,000 times. Just because somebody used After Effects and threw Another Earth into the thing, and you have a little existential radio play at the end, it doesn't make it different. Doesn't make it fresh. Stop it.
Hate waves. Wade's hate waves.
I know.
Anyway, here she plays an undercover operative for this intelligence firm, and she's got to infiltrate this eco-terrorist cell. It calls itself The East, hence the name of the film. And, there's a lot of... The guy who directed the film, whose name I cannot pronounce, but he is her kind of partner. They've done a couple films together as writer and director. Yep. The guy really knows how to put together a very thrilling set piece. There's a lot of impressively staged thriller little bits here. There is a bit where Britt's character falls in love with a character played by Alexander Skarsgård, and I didn't buy that at all because here's this character who's like this Britt Marling character who is so driven and so smart and so good under pressure and so good under fire that you can't see her falling for some handsome Swedish guy.
Yep.
So I wasn't really into that, but I do like her, and I do like The East. I think it's one of those films that sort of fell through the cracks in terms of thriller land. So I would recommend, definitely as a rental, The East.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to do that the whole show with that voice from now on.
God, I hope so.
Yes, I will, every week.
Hello, Mark. My name is Fred. I'm going to do the show now.
You want to talk about that, and I'll blow through some foreign stuff?
Oh, wait, now that...
Yeah, finish that off. Then we're done. I think yes. Then we're done with the English language stuff, and then I can plow through.
Oh, really? There's foreign stuff?
There's a handful of foreign things.
A lot of foreign things.
No,
is there enough foreign things for me to maybe use the restroom while you're talking, or just get a drink of water while you're talking?
You could use the restroom if you wanted.
Really?
Yes, you could take a bathroom break. Yes, go get a pass from the hall monitor.
Anyway, oh my God, that takes me back. Anyway, now that Jeremy Renner is famous and Oscar nominated, we can go ahead and just crank out all the old films that he did that suck and that he wishes would just stay buried forever. On that list, let's put Ingenious from 2009. This is with Dallas Roberts and Jeremy Renner. It's about these two guys. One's an inventor, one's a kind of a sleazy salesman, and they come up with this crazy thing that won't tell you what it is, and it becomes a worldwide phenomenon. I don't know what to say. This thing is just incredibly not funny. I think that Jeremy Renner was still kind of young. He was still kind of working it out. I like the fact that he's got some wrinkles now, makes him way more interesting. and he's not really much of a rom-com type actor. I do like the fact that the movie did have some kind of funny bits to it, but I think ultimately this is one of those indie films that tries way too hard to be indie, and it just fails. So I'm not really into Ingenious, says me.
All right, I'll buy that for $1. So foreign. Let's rip through some foreign. Do you want to make your bathroom break?
I will get a drink of water.
Okay, you get a drink of water. This will not take long. Codename Ruby is a film from Facets that, if you are a fan of Jan Nemec, or Nemec, depending how you want to pronounce it, who is one of the great Czech New Wave directors. Fascinating life to this guy. This is a really, really interesting movie. It is totally surreal. It is one of these kind of weird existential mind-trippy movies that you often get from Eastern European directors, and this is one that is really, really good. The idea here is that you have a couple of people who are looking I guess a way of putting this is it's almost like a mysticalized version of Antonioni's L'Avventura.
Interesting.
A little bit, right? You have a couple of people, this couple who are in Prague, and they're looking for the Philosopher's Stone. But it's not really like Nick Cage looking for the frickin' its treasure map on the back of the Declaration of Independence. It's not an American Treasure type deal. It's not a thriller. It's very existential. It's meditative. It's provocative, and it does visually a lot of kind of avant-garde things. There's documentary footage and there's other stuff in it. It's actually really, really interesting and very aggressive stylistically, and definitely worth watching, especially if you're a fan of the Czech New Wave. Made in 1997 after he came back to Czechoslovakia after years of exile, because he left and didn't get back until 1989. When the Velvet Revolution happened. So that's an interesting movie. That's definitely worth checking out. Then, going real quickly through these, Johnny Toe's Drug War. Not the best Johnny Toe movie ever, but certainly stylish and interesting. They had this in, I believe this was in competition at Cannes. It definitely screened at Cannes. And it got a little bit pilloried for not having enough action in it, which I thought was interesting, because Johnny Toe's movies, they're not exactly wall-to-wall action. I don't know what people are expecting. They have action, but it's not like he's John Woo. Johnny Toe's movies oftentimes have these really very dark psychological sequences to them, and
to me he's a bit like Miike, where he's very prolific.
He makes like 50 movies a year. It's ridiculous.
And so his batting average
never stops.
Yeah, exactly.
Never stops. So is it as good as some of his other stuff? No, but is it worth seeing? Absolutely. Especially that it's now it gets into the the meth industry in China, which is obviously something that's now taken over the world ever since Breaking Bad got everybody hooked on meth. So there you go. So that's on that is a Blu-ray, and it is a sharp Blu-ray from Welgo, who does fantastic jobs with all of their Blu-rays, especially the Asian pickups, which is their specialty. The Gus Van Sant presents Lawrence Anyways, Laurence, the French Laurence spelling of Lawrence. Gus Van Sant got behind this movie, which features from Xavier Dolan, featuring Natalie Baye and some other very, very good French language actors. And I gotta say, I don't know if this would have gotten any traction if Gus Van Sant had not gotten behind it. It would have just been another French language art film oddity. Xavier Dolan is not one of my favorite French-Canadian filmmakers. I love a lot of French-Canadian filmmakers, but sometimes they really, really get out on the edge. This is just an interesting gender-bending psychological look at someone who wants to become transgender, and I think it gets a little too preachy and maybe doesn't give you enough insight into the characters and into the psychology. But that being said, if the subject is of interest, then by all means hang with it. The movie Aliyah from Film Movement is actually pretty good. This was in the director's fortnight at Cannes, and it's not bad. It's about a drug dealer in Paris who is Jewish and who wants to be able to go to Israel. So it is about the rather illicit effort that he makes in order to be able to make that immigration, or that migration, or emigration. And It's about a single individual who makes some very, very tough choices, and I think it's not great, but it's certainly good and very, very well acted, and includes an interesting short film called On the Road to Tel Aviv. Much better and more entertaining is With Love from the Age of Reason. This is in one of these really slimline eco packages that First Run Features now uses for all their stuff, and I find this movie irresistible because it has Sophie Marceau in it, and any movie with Sophie Marceau, I'm smitten. That's it. I am just straight up smitten. It is a wonderful, wonderful, old-fashioned look at just human relationships, with Sophie Marceau just glowing, unbelievably glowing in it. And essentially the idea here is that there's a letter that she receives on her birthday that she wrote when she was 7 years old. And it's about the effect that her childhood self has on her adult self. And I'll leave it at that. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. It's something that makes you almost want to do what she did, and makes you wish that you had that person, in your life again, who you were. Because it's not enough when you look in photos and stuff. It's very sweet. And it's
Who I was a
very
loser.
Nicely done.
I was a loser. If I wrote a letter to myself, I would probably say, Mark, at 20, you're a loser.
First-rate film from Danish director Tobias Lindholm on Blu-ray is A Hijacking. This is an outstanding film from Magnolia. It is a great Blu-ray transfer because the film's really gritty in the way that it was shot. Really interesting that this is coming out now. I don't know that they must have kind of long-term timed it this way, because this came out about 3 months ago in theaters, and it's now coming out on Blu-ray literally at the exact same time as Captain Phillips. Yeah. Now, it's a better film than Captain Phillips. I think indeed it is. Better film than Captain Phillips by a long shot. Captain Phillips is an interesting incident, but this is a straight-up story. And they're all about different people. Captain Phillips is primarily about the guy, the captain of the ship, right? The captain of this ship is almost superfluous. He's a negligible figure. This is about the hijacking of a Danish ship. And there's no sort of like seals that come in a thing with the whole ship gets hijacked. And there are it focuses on two figures. One is the cook on the ship, who is like the lowest of the low, right? He kisses his wife goodbye and he goes and he's going to cook all this food in the dirty kitchen of this ship that has a very small crew and a lot of cargo and no way of defending itself. And while he is dealing with the stress of the situation of being in the middle of the hijacking, you intercut between him and the CEO of the shipping company, who is this high-powered deal maker. You see him negotiate with the Japanese. He is a tough-as-nails dude. He cuts the big deals, and then suddenly the ship is hijacked, and literally the negotiation of having to deal with hijackers almost obliterates him. Like this guy who can make these huge multinational deals with having to deal with hijackers and pirates, it pushes him to the limit. It almost tears him apart. And he's got this Scottish guy, right, who advises him on how to deal with hijackers. It's a totally different deal. This could take 6 months. This could take a year. It could take 2 years. And it pushes him to the limit. And you look at how this event affects two different men, one rich, one not rich. One the CEO, the other one just the lowest of the low on the crew. One of them's in the middle of it. The other one is thousands of miles away, and yet they are totally equal in the stress of the situation. It's an amazing film. It's really, really good, and I wish Captain Phillips had been as sharp.
That reminds me of what was that Ronald Neame film? It was one of the first red wire, blue wire thrillers.
Oh, what was that?
And it did have scenes of the owner of the shipping company.
Yeah.
That made the ship, and if my internet wasn't down right now, I could figure it out.
It's okay. It's okay. It's
you
all
keep
good.
Going.
It's all good. I'm
going to sit here until my internet figures it out, and we'll let you know what that movie is.
You got it. The last foreign language film that we have got today is a gem. This is a Criterion box set. 3 films by Roberto Rossellini starring Ingrid Bergman. If you don't know the history of this, Ingrid Bergman, well, everyone should know that Ingrid Bergman eventually married Roberto Rossellini, and that they have a daughter together who would be Isabella Rossellini. So, who looks like her mom, but she's got her dad's dark hair.
He wasn't Ronald Neame.
It wasn't Ronald Neame. Well,
no, it was a movie about a hijacking. It was about a ship taken over by terrorists, red wire, blue wire. And there was scenes, and this is going to consume me for the rest of the show.
You work on that, and I will finish this.
Oh, what is it?
The 3 films are Stromboli, Europe 51, and Journey to Italy. Of course, their relationship was scandalous at the time, and it really made Isabella Rossellini kind of persona non grata in Hollywood for a little while. But
Richard Lester.
Richard Lester, and what's
the film? Juggernaut.
Oh, Juggernaut. Yeah, sure.
That was it. What a
good call. Good callback, bro. Well done, dude.
Juggernaut. That was it.
Oh, that's a good one. Well done. All right. Well, anyway, these are...
I'm not done yet.
Okay.
It was Richard Harris, Omar Sharif.
Well,
I'm reading this off of IMDb. A maniac is threatening a navigation company to blow up one of its luxury transatlantics with 1,200 people on board.
Well, there
An
you go.
experienced anti-bomb squad is sent to the ship. Okay.
All right. Well, anyway, these three films with Rossellini and Bergman, they're all wonderful films. They are not Bergman's best films. They are not Rossellini's best films. But they are very good films, and they are significant because these are the films they made together, where their affair kind of blossomed and their eventual marriage, the seeds were sown. And they are really, they're just really first-rate films. And you should check it out. Stromboli, Europe 51, and Europa 51, and Journey to Italy. And then there's also I should point out with Stromboli, there are two different versions on here. There's the English language version, and then there is also the Italian language version. So it's a pretty comprehensive set with tons of extras. I can't even get into this. I mean, like, there are a new interview with Isabella Rossellini and her sisters. And there's just so much stuff. It's unbelievable. There's this really cool short film called My Dad is 100 Years Old, which was directed by Guy Maddin with Isabella Rossellini in it. Of course, Isabella Rossellini has been in other Guy Maddin stuff. 1952 short film that was directed by Rossellini with Bergman, called The Chicken. I mean, there's just so much stuff. It just goes on and on and on. So if you were a fan of Rossellini and Bergman, you could sit around for probably 3 or 4 days and just not leave the house. It's really a great set. Criterion has done a wonderful job. The packaging, I'm not exactly thrilled with. It's that kind of cheap digipack, sleeve packaging, but I can live with it.
Oh, fine, Wade.
I can live with it.
You can live with it.
I can live with it. Let's do some docs.
Oh, docs. Well, here, after highly recommend a very interesting doc that is so controversial, I'm kind of not surprised it didn't get wider play. This is a great effort by co-directors Bill Duke and Dee Chanison-Berry called Dark Girls. Now, obviously in America, unfortunately, we'll never get rid of racism, and racism will always be with us because basically we're a bunch of idiots. But what's interesting about Dark Girls is that it gets into not necessarily the roots of racism, but the roots of racism within the African-American community and how people within the African-American community and outside of the African-American community look at not only just, let's say, African-American women, but light-skinned black women versus dark-skinned black women.
The whole skin color deal.
Yes, and how if you're a light-skinned black woman who maybe talks quote-unquote white, maybe you grew up in a neighborhood where there was like a lot of white kids at school, maybe that actually sets off certain aspects of the African-American community who consider themselves a little bit more like, authentically black. And so it's almost about racism within a community that already has enough racism from the outside, and why are they worrying about it on the inside? Within their family. It just doesn't make sense. So it's a very interesting documentary. It says a lot of great things about just the nature of prejudice and how, if you give us enough time, we will find something to hate about everybody. We will find some prejudice that will make us put you in the box and, pull out our talking points and our cliches and just hate you for what you look like.
I'm going to watch that.
And it's really interesting. It's so controversial, and it's I'm not surprised it did not get wider play, but it is very interesting stuff. And congrats on Duke and Barry for tackling the subject. I wish it had gotten at least a theatrical. Hard to say, but anyway, a terrific film, Dark Girls.
From the people at TMW, Tell Me Why, who do a lot of really interesting documentaries. We have a really fascinating quartet of documentaries here. 3 of them are from the Civil War documentary series, and the other one is the part of the frontier history of bourbon whiskey. And I'll start with that one. This is a winner of an award called the Bronze Telly Award.
Ooh, give me that. I want to watch it.
Serious?
I love bourbon and whiskey.
Okay, well, good, because this is the whole.
I didn't see it.
Bourbon in Kentucky is the name of this, and it is a history distilled. My father's people come from Kentucky. My father was born in Kentucky, so I have a little bit of connection to that. I have a lot of family still in Kentucky. Haven't been there since 1975, when I was a fetus. Not quite. Anyway, no, this is about the going all the way back to the 18th century and the distilling of freaking bourbon, and the whole idea of making whiskey and bourbon is really
bourbon, as you know.
Yes.
Wade.
Well, film
bourbon is whiskey.
I know.
It is whiskey made in Kentucky.
Exactly.
With at least 51% corn mash.
See, there you go. I've watched this, and you know more. You still know more about it than I do, because I don't drink, so I don't really get it. But anyway, interesting stuff though, because there's a lot of. Here's the thing that makes it so interesting is that there's all kinds of historical documentation going all the way back to that period that they have in this documentary. So it's like it's not just like, well, this is my great grandpappy's recipe. No, it's like they actually have the written stuff. So
that's part of the reason why bourbon consumption. That's part of the appeal of bourbon consumption, because you feel like you are drinking something that is exactly the same as when it was first distilled in Kentucky in 1840 whatever, and you can draw a direct line between 1840 whatever and the bourbon you're drinking right now at your local bar. And that's kind of for me, that's kind of the appeal of something like bourbon. I'm going to watch this, Wade. I did not see it. I'm going to take this and watch it.
The other three documentaries, Long Road Back to Kentucky, the 1862 Confederate Invasion, Unsung Hero, the story of the horse in the Civil War, and Retreat from Gettysburg, Lee Logistics and the Pennsylvania Campaign. These are all really amazing. All of these, again, have won Telly Awards. A couple of them the Silver Telly Award, the other one the Telly Award. I don't know what the Telly Award is. I'm going to be honest with you. All of these have won the Telly Award. I don't know what it is. Never heard of it before.
It's an award about Tellys.
But
Telly Savalas wins it every year.
There you go. Exactly.
I don't know what that meant.
But they're really, really good documentaries. They are not just these very, very broad. In fact, if you've seen Ken Burns' The Civil War, this is stuff that he skips right over. And as comprehensive as that is, there are all of these little tentacles to the various nuances of things that go on in the Civil War, little scholarly anecdotes and kind of microcosmic events and incidents, and really very impressively put together here. One of these is actually based on a book, Retreat from Gettysburg, Lee Logistics, and the Pennsylvania Campaign. That is originally a book, and they adapted that book into a doc here. Really well done, high production value, excellent photography, and there's so much about the Civil War that I just think people aren't sufficiently aware of, and so it's really, really incredibly compelling to go to these places, hear the stories, and just realize, in this nice pastoral area where there are suburban homes today, this is the crap that went down, 150 some odd years ago. So pretty sharp stuff.
I like it.
Yep,
I'm on board.
Good
week for documentaries. Wade, let's do some TV, no?
Yes, TV, television.
Season...
It's the golden age of television, they say. They say it's the golden age of television.
You know what it is? It's the golden age of cable television.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know if it's the golden age of network television. Volume 2 of Anger Management, Charlie Sheen. Now, here's the thing with this. Charlie Sheen's, this show did not, nobody really liked this show, nor did it do very well. However, last year, FX renewed it for 90 episodes. Now, the whole thing is that, the thing with 90 episodes is not because the 90 episodes were not because the show's that good, but because they know if they can just gang produce, just crank out like a machine, like a factory of bad comedy, 90 episodes... They'll save money.
Yes.
Because they crank them all out at the same time.
Exactly.
It's easier to make Avatar 2 and 3 at the same time.
Yep.
But they can take those 90 episodes and they can sell them overseas.
Yep.
And they can make so much money that it is unbefreaking-leavable. So, even though the premiere might have been like the most watched basic cable scripted comedy ever, still, the show, it's lacked since then. It's not great. It's not that funny. And Charlie Sheen is done melting down. So,
the movie wasn't any good.
And the movie wasn't very good.
No.
But, look, Bruce Helford, the EP, thought he saw something in it and got Charlie Sheen, which seemed like inspired casting, I guess, at the time. But Charlie Sheen does not seem to me a guy who was, like, quality-oriented. So I don't really understand. But anyway, so that's Anger Management Volume 2. A lot of unfunny stuff on there. Robot Chicken Season 6. This is a show that keeps on going. It's probably very cheap to do. And it's one of those, like we talked about last week with This Is the End, one of those inmates running the asylum sort of shows. But they only have to kill a quarter hour because don't forget, these Robot Chickens are only 15 minutes long. But I like them. I think they're funny.
Yeah,
I really do.
I'm
I think
glad
they're funny little vignettes. You don't like them?
It's just enough already.
They're hilarious chickens.
Yeah, right.
Psych is one of those USA shows that is just about a bunch of guys who do crazy things. I don't understand USA shows are just the worst. They're like Burn Notice and Psych and Burn Psych and just a bunch of...
We got more of that. We did Bones is another one, and I'm going to be talking about Bones in a second, too.
Not good. Anyway, this is the 7th season. This show is coming in for a crash landing. I think they're actually done. And you know what? I cannot name anybody in this show. I don't know what these two guys, Dule Hill and James Roday, I don't know what they're going to do with their lives now that the show is over, because I see nothing in them other than Psych. So anyway, that's Psych. Now, Wade, as you know, you're giving me this.
Yeah, I know.
Because this is Family Guy,
I know.
Volume 11. You know what's funny is that I'm such a nerd. Even though every episode of Family Guy is on Netflix, I still want the Blu-rays. I don't care.
I know.
I don't care.
I know.
I'm going to have it.
I hear you.
I will have it.
I totally agree with you.
This was a... Yeah,
Are you ever going to subscribe to Amazon Prime?
I am not. And why would I do that?
Well, I don't know, because there's stuff on Amazon Prime that's not on Netflix and vice versa.
How much is it?
Same amount, like $6 or $7. But the thing is about Amazon Prime, it also gets you free shipping on all your Amazon stuff.
Ooh.
So it pays, if you buy a lot of stuff from Amazon, it eventually pays for itself.
See, you buy a lot of stuff on Amazon,
A lot,
don't you?
yeah, dude, friggin', you
like
kidding
baby
me?
stuff or
like,
something?
yeah, diapers, hello, buying enough diapers and baby rattles and all that stuff, it's like, 1 month that pays for itself, dude.
You're out of your mind.
Oh, yeah.
So I will be the first to admit that Family Guy is running out of steam. In fact, the season premiere a couple weeks ago was really not very good. Now, I'm not sure if that's because Seth MacFarlane has spread himself too thin. He's doing the Ted sequel now, and he had hosted the Oscars and did the original Ted, and he's got the Cleveland show. He's got an Empire to run. But there's still funny stuff here. I like the episode where Quagmire starts to hit on Meg, who had just turned 18. Actually, there's a very funny... In that episode, the episode where Meg turns 18, there's a very funny spoof of the Teen Choice Awards, which if you would even give Family Guy half a chance, you would totally laugh at the spoof of the Teen Choice Awards, where at the end... Wilford Brimley runs out with a shotgun and kills all the teenagers.
Sweet.
How can you not like that?
Nice. Exactly. That's good.
Anyway, Family Guy Volume 11. I love it. I love Family Guy. I admit it.
Got a couple of old television classics here, and this one is fantastic. Well done, Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers has released Nichols, the complete series. I know you're thinking, Nichols? What the hell was Nichols? About
Nichelle Nichols, who played Uhura?
Not about currency. No wooden nickels. Nichols, Nichols, starring James Garner, ran for only one season, 24 episodes in 1971 and 72, and then it was canceled, and that's too bad because it's a really cool kind of late-period Western set in 1914. James Garner as as sheriff of a small town. It's sort of like it's not really the West anymore, but it's pre-World War I. It's post-industrial revolution. It's in an area where it still kind of feels like the West. So it's a really, really interesting scenario. The nice thing is it was created by Frank Pearson, the Oscar-nominated screenwriter who wrote
Dog Day Afternoon.
Cat Ballou.
You write Dog Day Afternoon?
I think he may have written Cat.
Hang on, let me check. Checking. I might be wrong on that.
Yeah. Well, Frank Pearson was previously president of the Writers Guild. He was a big, see that? Dog Day
Look at that. You see, I might be getting
You're
older.
The man. And
but the memory still serves.
He was
doesn't it? Whatever your name is.
It does.
Whatever your name is.
He was president of the Writers Guild, and he was also a neighbor of mine until he died last year. I used to see him drive by all the time. Used to see him at occasionally homeowners association events and things like that. Sweet man, always kind of sat in the corner, never kind of said, "I'm an Oscar guy, a big screenwriter, I'm a big shot, I run the Writers Guild." There was no ego about him, just the sweetest man in the world.
Okay, you ready?
And I'm so glad.
Yeah. Since we're movie people.
Okay.
Now I'm not making this up. I'm reading this off IMDb. Here's a couple of Frank Pearson credits.
Yeah.
A couple movies you might have heard of.
Sure.
Cool Hand Luke.
Yep.
Come on. Dog Day Afternoon, one of my all-time favorite films.
Yeah.
Star is Born, the Chris Christopherson.
Oh, he wrote that too?
Was.
Did he really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
He also wrote Presumed Innocent, the
That's right.
Harrison Ford.
That's right.
And he also wrote a couple of episodes of Mad Men.
Wow.
So he kind of kept himself fresh.
Wow. Well, Nichols it should have run longer. James Garner is so good in it, and and unfortunately, he's probably it came at a period when Westerns were a little bit dying out, right? Kind of the tail end of Big Valley Bonanza, and Gunsmoke, that whole trajectory was a little bit petering out, and Kung Fu was really the only Western from this period that sustained for a period of time because it had Kung Fu in it. It had a different angle. But anyway, Nichols, pretty sharp thing. Margot Kidder, by the way, in this thing, a young Margot Kidder, she looks like Kristen Stewart. It's creepy. It's just wrong.
You know what? I was watching, or not. Well, maybe I saw a clip or something of Superman. With Margot Kidder.
Yeah.
And there was a time when we thought she was cute.
No, not me.
Really?
Never. No.
I never thought she was like I want to sleep with her cute, but she seemed like spunky cute.
No.
And now you're like, we thought that was cute.
No, she was always skanky to me. She was always
skanky. She was skanky.
No, she
Even
always.
In 1978, she was skanky.
Damn right.
What was Superman 77?
It was just like that voice. It just it's like you have. I don't know. You've been like. It sounds like you just had a pack of Marlboros and chased it with a gallon of whiskey. There's something wrong. It just didn't work. But anyway. Season 1 of Gentle Ben, starring Dennis Weaver and Clint Howard. Of course, Clint Howard, the brother of Ron Howard. They were both child television stars roughly around the same time. Ron Howard was on the Andy Griffith Show. His brother Clint was on Gentle Ben, playing with a bear. And it is a cute show. It was one of a series of shows that were all about animals and kids. Flipper, and there's a whole bunch of animals and kids. Daktari.
Gentle Ben.
Anyway. Lassie, right? They were there was a trend at the time, and that damn bear scared the crap out of me when I was a little kid.
Sharky the Shark.
Oh my god!
Remember that show about Sharky
Yes,
the Shark?
sure I do. Yes, I do.
He had a pet shark.
Yeah, Henry the Hammerhead was the spin-off. Yeah,
That's
I
not
remember
funny.
that. No,
See, mine was funny.
Okay.
Bridge was. You took the comedy way beyond its expiration date.
Stanley Silverfish. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
aren't silverfishes those little tiny, squirmy little insect things?
Yes, that eat paper and glue.
Really?
Yes, you didn't know that?
No.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Silverfish.
Well, clearly we need to get this building a little more infested. Anyway, here's the thing about Clint Howard.
Like 2 months ago.
Here's the thing about Clint Howard. Now, season 1, it's perfectly fine. It's got audio commentaries with Clint Howard and his dad, Rance Howard.
Not listening to me.
No, I'm not. We got a show to do here. And their dad, Rance Howard, do some audio commentaries because Rance Howard, was pushing his kids to do TV and movies at the time. And by the way, Ron Howard, frickin' Rush, best film he's ever made. Best film he's ever made.
Really, you think?
Yeah, it's it's unbelievable. Best film he has ever made. It's great. So anyway, Gentle Ben. Here's the thing about Clint Howard. Even though he's perfectly fine in Gentle Ben, my memories of Clint Howard are twofold. He did not exactly turn out to be a looker as an adult. So Ron throws him a bone in all of his movies. I don't think he's in Rush actually. I didn't.
That's impossible.
He's been in all of his.
I did not. I have not heard or you might be right.
I don't think he's in Rush. To be honest,
Ooh,
that might be
you know
the
what
first
that means?
time.
Now,
falling out.
Either falling out or because every Rush is critically acclaimed.
Yes.
Even though it's not doing that.
And he decided that his brother was going to drag it down.
Yes.
It all takes place in Europe. Where are you going to have a spot for your brother in that movie? Really, there are no American. There's not an American anywhere in that movie.
There's got to be some guy, some pit guy who fills up the gasoline with gasoline.
That being said, the Clint Howard either scares me whenever his mug shows up in a Ron Howard movie. I kind of go, ooh, or I look at him and I think, oh, Tranya. And there we go. And I don't think I need to say anything else, do I? No, I don't. I really don't. Tranya. That's all. That's all you should know.
You know what?
Google it if you don't get the reference.
I'm getting a cat. I'm naming the cat Tranya. Somebody's got. I bet somebody in the world has named their cat Tranya.
Carry on. We're running out of time. We got a haul.
All right. Heart of Dixie is a horrible CW show, just like all the other horrible CW shows. This stars what's her name? Rachel Bilson from the OC. And she plays a doctor who goes down to Alabama, and she's trying to make it. Big city, goes to Alabama. Everyone's all beautiful because everyone on the CW. I want somebody on the CW to have a body mass index of, something reasonable. Where they're actually like people who would really exist in the world.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen.
No.
I will say this though, Wade. In the second season, the one thing I did notice about Rachel Bilson's character is that. She's got these guys, couple suitors that she's interested in. One of them is named George. The other's name Wade.
Okay.
So Rachel Bilson is deciding between George and Wade.
Yeah.
You being Wade.
Yep, totally.
Anyway, I don't like this show, but it's 22 episodes, and it's just another CW blah blah. I'm just not really into the CW shows at all. I admit it. American Horror Story Asylum. Now this thing was nominated for 17 Emmys.
I just don't understand it. I don't get it. 17
Emmys.
I don't know why.
But it's got Jessica Lange, and you can't beat that. And this season, they redo it every year. It's like the same creepiness, but different families. There's some parallels that cross the seasons, but it's essentially a new story each season.
Right.
This one has Zachary Quinto, who played Spock in the Star Trek films, James Cromwell, who we love, and Sarah Paulson. This one, you know what? I like the fact that FX, again, they're carrying the torch for interesting, creepy, atmospheric, funky types of shows.
Yep.
And I think there's something to be said. It really is. And you were saying before how it's like a golden age of TV.
Yep.
But even though this show may not prove it's a golden age of TV, it proves that TV is willing to go places that make people want to stay home and watch TV instead of go to movies.
Right.
You know, so say what you will about it. Asylum is pretty creepy, pretty good. The third season, which is Coven, which has that very provocative key art, which you guys may have seen at bus stops around your town. That one's coming soon. Okay, what else on TV? Glee. Fourth season of Glee. This thing keeps going. Now, of course, obviously, next season, or the season that just began, goes without Corey Monteith, who died a few months ago tragically. And this show just keeps going. Although without Corey Monteith, we'll see if the show starts to kind of lose some of its steam. And yeah, what can I say about Glee? I thought it was cute at the beginning. I have to say I saw a couple episodes. I totally get it. It was very poppy and colorful and fun. Had a great energy. You know, now it's like, okay, what band's music are they going to have this week? Oh, the Beatles. All right. I guess because I'm old, I'll watch that one because it has the Beatles. And, young kids could like the fact that it's in high school. So it's really trying to straddle that line between, younger viewers who enjoy the high school environment and getting the older viewers who maybe groove on the idea of them singing songs from bands that are of a certain age. So I get it. I just think it's going to start running out of steam soon because after a while, these kids can't go to school forever. These kids cannot be in Glee school forever, Wade.
All right, Mark, we are running out of time, so I'm going to haul, and I'm going to go through a couple of pairings here, a handful of pairings of things that go together. You ready for this?
Oh, wait, peanut butter and jelly.
All right, the first, Petticoat Junction and the Beverly Hillbillies. That's right, they were all part of CBS's rural lineup. And back in the late 60s, it was canned when all these new shows came in that were like Mary Tyler Moore Show and All in the Family, and because the rural people were making their own stuff and advertisers weren't able to sell to them. So all the Hillbilly shows went away, but we still have them on DVD, and the 50th anniversary edition of Petticoat Junction, the third season, and the Beverly Hillbillies, the official fourth season, as Walmart exclusives are out. Remember, Petticoat Junction spun off Green Acres, which is still not out in the rest of the seasons. Two or three seasons came out. I'm still waiting for the rest of it. Come on, man. Hurry it up. I need the rest of my Green Acres.
Because nobody wants them.
Petticoat Junction and the Beverly Hillbillies, absolutely classic television, wonderful, and both of those seasons are terrific. How I Met Your Mother and The New Girl, because millennials are quirky and funny and weird. Right? That's why these two shows go together. This is the 8th season of How I Met Your Mother and the 2nd season of New Girl. I really do like New Girl, I got to tell you, but I'm just a Zooey Deschanel fan, always have been. I think she's just a luminous presence, and she should get paid tons of money for what she does on this show, because the guys are okay, but she just rips it up and is incredibly funny. How I Met Your Mother, of course, entirely rides on the presence of Jason Segel and
Steve?
No. What do you?
No,
of Jason.
Jack, Joe, Jeff, John, George.
That guy.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Did you not remember his name?
No, I did. No, I did. But you started interrupting me, and I was like,
"That's what I do."
That's a weird man. And then, families. Aren't families weird? The Neighbors and Modern Family. Families are so quirky. We have the 4th season of Modern Family on Blu-ray. Still a very funny show, but too much like The Office. I don't like the whole faux documentary thing. I think it's a bit of a cheat, but still, it's well written. I just wish they wouldn't have used that device. Looking great on Blu-ray. They do a very, very good job for a comedy, but it's a single camera show, so they do a good job. And then The Neighbors. Complete first season on DVD. This is an ABC show that's trying to do what Modern Family does, and a little bit of what Suburgatory does. Not doing it quite as well as those shows, but Jamie Gertz. It's nice to see her show up again. I've always loved Jamie Gertz, and it's like a little bit like her character on Square Pegs. And then lastly, Bones and White Collar. We got to solve crimes and we got to wisecrack at the same.
White Collar, none of those stupid USA shows. I know what they are.
I know. But you know what? Here's the thing about White Collar is that what's his name on this show? Is it Tim DeKay? Which one of the
George
guys?
George DeKay?
No, it's Matt Bomer. That guy. Matt Bomer, he's going to play Montgomery Clift in a biopic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought he was going to get some kind of a superhero role at some point. Because doesn't he?
He's a dreamy, handsome kind of a superhero DC guy.
Don't you think after the Ben Affleck film tanked a week ago that they should start looking at him as maybe the next Batman, right?
Too late now.
Too late now.
Well, that guy doesn't sell overseas. Ben Affleck sells overseas.
Yeah, whatever. Does he really? Does Ben really? Affleck. Yeah, but does he sell overseas?
Come on, if you live in Latveria, you Ben Affleck.
And of course, Bones, the other of the Deschanel sisters. They're both TV stars now. This is Emily, who is just wonderful. And I'm shocked that this show has lasted this long, because I don't think the show is that good, but I think they are both very good. And this, of course, is leading into a whole new season. It's going into its 9th season now, which I never thought this show would last that long. Really, really sharp Blu-ray, very, very well photographed, and that is it. That's our show.
That's our show.
Mark, give us an outro.
Wait, what was the outro you had last week?
I can't remember. It was
something ridiculous.
I said, bouncing baby balloons or some.
Okay, well, until next week, bouncing baby balloons.